Good afternoon. My name is Michael Pollack, and I am standing in front of Amatec Riker Technologies here in sunny Depew, New York. As the Director of Operations, I am often asked, how do I measure the pulse of our factory? Now, on any given day, most of us can simply glance at our smartwatch to gain an accurate measurement of our internal pulse. But unfortunately, measuring the pulse of a factory requires a bit more effort, a touch of creativity, and a whole lot of fun. So come on in and let's get started.
There are many different methods to measure the pulse of a factory. Textbooks may tell you to take a mathematical approach, lean practitioners may tell you to take a visual cue approach, and IT specialists may tell you to just let your ERP system run the entire factory. Regardless of the approach that you take, measuring the pulse of a factory is really based on two primary factors: the flow of materials and the flow of information. Here at our factory in Depew, we have chosen to implement a tiered Gemba Walk process to measure the pulse of our factory. And today, I'm going to teach you how to implement this process in your factory in just 6 easy steps. To implement a tiered Gemba Walk process, the very first step is defining work zones in your factory. A work zone is a location in a factory where a common group of finished goods are being produced. Products manufactured in a work zone should be similar in nature, sharing common attributes such as design features, raw materials, and manufacturing processes. At Amatec Riker, we have defined 6 work zones throughout our factory. Each work zone has a clearly defined assembly team with assigned engineering and quality support staff.
To ensure our work zones have an identity within the business, we have posted tiered Gemba Walk maps throughout our factory that highlights both our daily Gemba Walk process and supporting work zones. Once your work zones are defined and organized in your factory, you are ready to move forward to the next step with implementing a tiered Gemba Walk process and define your daily Gemba Walk schedule.
A daily schedule is key in not only the implementation of a Gemba Walk process, but also with ensuring its long-term sustainability. A Gemba Walk is the action of going to see the actual process, understand the work, ask questions, and learning from those who do the work. Here in our factory at Amatec Riker, we have adopted a 2-tier Gemba Walk process. The Tier 1 walk consists of a 5 to 10 minute stand-up meeting at each work zone. Tier 1 stand-up meetings are typically led by the work zone team lead and should be attended by the production supervisor and all members of the assembly and test work zone. The Tier 2 walk consists of a 5 to 10 minute stand-up meeting and should be scheduled immediately after completion of the Tier 1 process. The Tier 2 stand-up meeting is typically led by the production supervisor and should be attended by all work zone team leads and a minimum of 1 representative from each supporting department within the business. When should a Gemba Walk be scheduled? A Gemba Walk should be scheduled to be not too early that the front office members cannot attend, and not too late that a large amount of the factory workday is already consumed. For the 6 work zones defined at Amatec Riker, our Tier 1 process runs daily at 7 a.m. through 7:50 a.m., with our Tier 2 process running from 8 a.m. through 8:10 a.m. Some best practice tips for long-term sustainability when scheduling your Gemba include posting Gemba maps throughout your factory, capturing all work zones and meeting times on your map, and staying disciplined to your daily schedule. Once you have defined your daily tiered Gemba Walk schedule, you will be ready to proceed to the 3rd step in deployment of a tiered Gemba Walk process and begin designing your Tier 1 Gemba boards.
I have seen many designs of Tier 1 boards throughout my career. However, the designs that have proven most sustainable over time in factories are the designs that are the most simple to understand and the most simple to maintain. At Amatec Riker, we have adopted a 4-quadrant design for our Tier 1 boards, focusing on schedule, countermeasures, safety, and quality.
Before you begin your design, you must first identify the best location for your Tier 1 board in your factory for each work zone. In staying with the Gemba philosophy of going to where the work is, you will want to be sure your Tier 1 board is located close to the work zone area. In this example from Amatec Riker, we have positioned our Work Zone 4 Tier 1 board directly beside the physical work zone where products are being assembled. Let's first start with the left-hand side of the board, where we capture both schedule and countermeasures. For schedule, the build schedule should be updated once per day, clearly communicating the products, quantities, and due dates required for the work zone. Depending on your MRP system, the format of the daily build schedule may vary from business to business. Regardless of the format of your build schedule, it should be protected by the work zone team on a daily basis and not overridden by hot lists or invader work. The countermeasures should also be updated daily, capturing all risks preventing from meeting the posted build schedule. Part shortages, quality issues, or equipment risks that impact the work zone's ability to meet the posted build schedule are common items that appear in the countermeasure quadrant. Remember to be sure that each risk has a countermeasure that is clearly identified with an owner and due date, driving accountability within your business. Let's now shift to the right-hand side of the board, where we capture both safety and quality key performance indicators. The safety quadrant consists of a daily scorecard designed to assess work zone safety performance from the prior workday. If there were 0 near misses or injuries in this work center from the prior workday, the calendar day is marked green. If there was a near miss from the prior workday, the calendar day is marked yellow. If there was a recordable injury in the work zone from the prior workday, the calendar day is marked red. If a calendar day is marked yellow or red, the team should discuss the safety issue and conclude if a countermeasure is required for corrective action. The quality quadrant consists of a daily scorecard designed to assess work zone finished good quality performance from the prior workday. If there were 0 finished good rejections internally or externally from the prior day, the calendar day is marked green. If there was a finished good rejection, internally or externally greater than 0, the calendar day is marked red. If a calendar day is marked red, the team should discuss the rejection and conclude if a countermeasure is required for corrective action. Let's now move to the middle of the board where we post our engineered labor standards. Engineered labor standards are typically defined by product engineering and represent the average time required to assemble and test 1 unit of each finished good in the work zone. Cross-referencing to the number of assemblers assigned to the work zone for the day, engineered labor standards drive accountability for expected production output at a fixed efficiency rate. While the efficiency rate is not generally posted in the factory, AMETEK Reichert assumes an industry standard of 80% efficiency. Let's now move to our final section of the board, the productivity tracker. The productivity tracker allows for the work zone to track planned production output versus actual production output on a daily basis. While planned production output is always a direct calculation from the engineered labor standards, actual production output is recorded at the end of each day by the work zone lead and reviewed the following morning during the Tier 1 Gemba Walk. Once your Tier 1 boards are designed and installed near each work zone, you are ready to proceed forward to the next step of deploying the Tiered Gemba Walk process, the execution of your Tier 1 Gemba Walk. The meeting should start with the production supervisor requesting for the work zone lead and assemblers to gather around the Tier 1 board. The work zone team lead will then conduct the Tier 1 agenda as follows. Number 1, review the build schedule for the day. Number 2, discuss new and existing risks and assign countermeasures. Number 3, review the prior day safety scorecard. Number 4, review the prior day quality scorecard. The production supervisor then takes over to continue with the agenda. Number 5, review prior day planned production output versus prior day actual production output and discuss the root cause for delta if applicable. And number 6, set the calculated planned production output for the day based on the engineered labor standards and assign number of staff to the work zone. To ensure your Tier 1 Gemba Walk is successful, you will want to be sure that the work zone team lead, work zone assembly and test team members, and your production supervisor are all present. Try and keep your meeting duration from 5 to 10 minutes max. Be careful not to get caught up in the mud if conversations begin dragging out, and remind everyone to be respectful of each other when setting the plan for the day. Also, keep in mind what your desired outcome is for this process, which is alignment to schedule, countermeasures, safety, and quality for the day. Best practice also recommends for members from other departments, such as engineering, quality, and senior staff members, to attend the Tier 1 Gemba Walks a minimum of 2 times per month. Once you have completed execution of your Tier 1 stand-up meetings, you will be ready to begin designing your Tier 2 Gemba board.
Before you begin your design, you must first identify the best location for your Tier 2 board in your factory. You will want to be sure it is located in an open space where there is enough room for people to spread out safely and comfortably. As attendees include production leads from each zone and a minimum of 1 representative from each supporting department, you will need a speaker and a multi-microphone system to ensure everyone's voice is heard both on the floor and virtually through Microsoft Teams. Now, I understand that protecting space in your factory for a daily meeting is not an easy thing to do. However, the benefits greatly outweigh the disadvantages when executing this process on a daily basis.
Much like the Tier 1 boards, I have seen many designs of Tier 2 boards throughout my career. However, the designs that have proven most sustainable over time in factories are the designs that are the most simple to understand and the most simple to maintain. The ultimate goal of our Tier 2 Gemba board at AMETEK Reichert is to enable any employee or visitor who walks by the board to determine the pulse of the factory in less than 30 seconds. To accomplish this objective, we have designed our Tier 2 board into 3 regions. Region 1, Factory KPIs. Region 2, Factory Countermeasures. And Region 3, Work Zone Health Report Status. Let's start with the first region of our Tier 2 board, Factory KPIs. Posting KPIs in the factory is very tricky. I have seen factories with fancy TV screens rotating endless automated KPIs to large whiteboards with rows and rows of manually posted KPIs. While there are pros and cons to both methods, staying with our tiered Gemba theme of keeping it simple and keeping it sustainable, we have adopted a 1 KPI per day approach where we assign 1 standard KPI based on the day of the week. Additionally, we utilize dry erase KPI formats, keeping our measurement system, progress, and goals simple for anyone passing by the Tier 2 board to understand. The 5 KPIs we have adopted for weekly review include gross inventory, sales achievement, customer satisfaction, continuous improvement, and employee safety. Each KPI has an assigned owner in the business and is responsible for updating the KPI prior to the assigned day for the Tier 2 board review. While selecting your top 5 KPIs to measure may vary from business to business, the most important things to remember are to select 1 factory KPI for each day of the week, assign an owner and Tier 2 presenter for each KPI, and be sure that your source data is accurate for the KPIs that you are presenting. The second region of our Tier 2 board is factory countermeasures. Now, you may be inclined to simply transfer all of the countermeasures captured on your Tier 1 boards directly to your Tier 2 board. However, your Tier 2 board countermeasures have a completely different definition. To populate countermeasures on the Tier 2 board, the production supervisor must decide which countermeasures to elevate from the Tier 1 boards. Decision factors that should be considered for countermeasure elevation to the Tier 2 board include: are there Tier 1 countermeasures that have a high risk of shutting down production within the next 5 days? Are there Tier 1 countermeasures that have a high risk of negatively impacting quality, delivery, safety, or cost? And it's important to remember that all entries on this board require top priority and immediate action from all departments within the business. The third and final region of the Tier 2 board is the daily plan dashboard. As an output from Tier 1, each work zone team lead will flip the magnet to either green or red for the health of people, parts, process, and equipment for their assigned work zone. The green or red status is at the sole discretion of the work zone team lead and is intended to surface the health or pulse of each production zone on a daily basis. Once your Tier 2 board is designed, the final step of implementing a daily tiered Gemba Walk process is the execution of your Tier 2 Gemba Walk. The Tier 2 Gemba meeting is hosted by the production supervisor via stand-up meeting in the factory and via live video broadcast on Microsoft Teams. The meeting will start with reviewing the factory KPI for the day, in which the microphone will be handed over to the KPI owner for a 1 to 2 minute update on KPI performance. The production supervisor then moves on to the Tier 2 countermeasures, capturing new countermeasures elevated from the Tier 1 Gemba Walks and requesting updates from the owners of the existing countermeasures on the board. The meeting then concludes with a work zone health report for each work zone, in which each work zone team lead will approach the microphone and provide a green-red health update on people, parts, process, and equipment for their work zone. To ensure your Tier 2 Gemba Walk is successful, you will want to be sure that the production supervisor, work zone team leads, and a minimum of 1 representative from all supporting departments in the business are all present either virtually or in person. Keep your meeting duration from 5 to 10 minutes max, and be careful to not get caught up in the mud if conversations begin dragging out. And remind everyone to be respectful of each other when setting the plan for the day. Remember that the desired outcome of the entire Gemba Walk process is to gain alignment on KPIs, Tier 2 countermeasures, and work zone health for the day.
If you've made it to this point in the video, you've successfully completed the training for how to implement a tiered Gemba Walk in 6 easy steps. I truly hope this information was helpful to you and your team, and I wish you the best of luck with implementing the Gemba Walk process in your factory. Take care.